Alright, today we're looking at the 2013 Ninja 650R. I would call this a sport commuter. And the reason for that are the high bars and the upright seating position. Yet you've got high clearance and handling of a sport bike. So there you've got the sport and you've got the commuter. The commuter, because when you've got the handlebars up like that, you're able to see around traffic. So that's a big help. It's a great bike for the daily commute and weekend rides on the twisties with your friends, and you can kind of do both, which is just awesome to have a sport bike that can handle the commuter really well. I think things I would change with this, one, if you look at the bars, I would want a little bit wider bar. It might bring out the hooligan in me, but it also gets you a little bit better control on the bike, just to have bars a little bit wider and elbows out a little bit. As far as upgrades, there's not a lot to upgrade. I'm pointing out the lights right there. That you can get a light, have both lights come on at the same time. Right now it's high beam on one side, low beam on the other. You can have an upgrade to just cross those over and have them both work as low beams and both work as high beams. We're going to take a ride here in a little bit. The only other upgrade I would really do on this bike would be to add brake lines, just to have the braided brake lines. It has rubber lines like almost all motorcycles, but with the braided lines,
kind of nice. It's got the adjustable lever, so you push forward on them and you can adjust how far out you want the lever to be for your hand. That makes it fit a little better for all riders. You can make it a little, if you got smaller hands, bring your hand a little closer. Really large hands, put it out a little further. Has a pretty narrow tank on the inseam here, so it makes it feel like a really small bike. And as far as it's really upright seating position is awesome. I'd say like that's awesome for commuting. You can look around really well. I feel like I'm sitting almost straight up on this bike. For such a sport looking bike, you really sit upright on it. And so making U-turns and stuff makes it really, really simple. Just because you're sitting up so upright, that does make it simpler. A lot easier. More natural feeling. When you're hunched over the tank, elbows down on the tank, it doesn't feel as natural to be making U-turns, even if it were the same bike. Plenty power. Plenty of power. 650 twin, inline twin. Oh, quite a high red line. 11,000 RPM red line for a twin. Pretty damn high. Really smooth. Has a pretty low bearing here. So, you get a double bubble if you want it a little higher, which, I don't know. So basically it's got the sport bike. If my arms were down here, it would be probably just where it should be. This thing's like put taller bars on the sport bike. This is definitely budget conscious as well, because the price of these, the price point on these is a lot lower than, say, their Ninja 600. And like to get over. Right. And so for that, there's a few things you're getting that are different. So you're not getting the inverted forks, and this bike is sprung a lot softer than its cousin, the 600R, which has a firmer suspension package and has inverted forks. The way they're building the inverted forks, we can go on a whole episode about that now. But the whole idea there is to make the largest diameter with the triple clamps to keep the bike as stable as possible in a really hard cornering. That's really track use. So I'm fine with putting the regular forks on this bike. I think that's the right move. saving some money. You got the higher bars, not the triple clamps on it with the bars coming off the triple clamps. I think when you first get on it, you kind of feel like the bars are a little high, but I think for commuting and city purposes, it's really perfect. I've always wanted a sport bike with higher bars. I thought that would be great, I think a little wider, and then you'd be a big-time hooligan. So this is somewhere between off the sport bike to somewhere in between that and being a hooligan, I think. I don't know. Sure makes handling the bike a lot more natural, not playing across it. There's a couple of interesting things about this bike I'll talk about. We're going to get on the windy road now and check that out. But car coming, so let's go. We'll get on the windy road and give it a try. Let's open it up and see what it sounds like. I think that sounds cool. I have a great exhaust though with this bike. That underslung exhaust sounds really good when you get on it, but man, when you're not, I guess they put it in the top gear, you can't even hear it. When you get on it and just hear this ripping sound, that sounds cool. So here's some interesting things. And a lot of bike manufacturers are doing this. I think they're spending more money on less expensive bikes where they really don't need to. A couple of examples. One, the adjustable levers. I mean, that's a much more expensive thing to put on a bike, and I've seen a lot more expensive bikes without them. And so that appeals to more riders. You can get a lot more adjustability out of your levers and your controls, and that's important. I would still think it would be important on an expensive bike. Here's another thing. So you look at this tank, which I know it's hard to take a look at the tank right now, but the tank on a lot of bikes, really expensive bikes, have gone to this little, there's actually 6 tanks down in there, and it's just a bulbous sort of metal tank, and they put a plastic cover over the whole thing. It's a lot less expensive to do that. Now in this, it has a metal tank, and it's nice shaped, beautiful tank, and then they also have a cover that goes around the front half of it. That's definitely going to be more expensive than just creating one tank that would be the same shape. I go, what the hell? Okay, it looks cool, but it's an expense where they really didn't need to put it, I don't think, but I mean, it's cool. So I think they're doing some things just to kind of appeal to some riders that, it looks like the same mirrors that are on the expensive bikes. It's got the same grips, it's got the same controls, it's got the same speedometer and computer system for it. Pretty neat. At 4,500 RPM, at 5,000 RPM, 6,000 RPM, I'm still in econo mode. So I'm still getting fantastic gas mileage. So how's the handling of this bike? Well, it's good. The suspension is softer than that of its sport bike rival. Now this is a pretty rough road for a sport bike, but this bike, there's a big bump right there and hardly even feel it. And it's not bouncy, so it's really good for back roads. A bike like this with nice soft suspension, at least at the top range of the suspension travel, will give you a bit of advantage over a sport bike when you have rough roads. I think that if you have commuting, if you're a newer rider, one that's going to give you a lot more confidence on this bike. If you are a commuter, you're going to like this bike because you can see around you a lot more than you can when you're down like this. When you're down like this, you really can't look around. It's like when you're up like this, where this is really natural to look around, you're sitting up. It's a lot more comfortable for that commute. If you're going out, then you can go out with your friends on the weekends and play on the twisties, no problem at all. And especially when you get to those rougher roads, you're going to be like, yeah, buddy, no problem. wheel seems to hang pretty well on the smooth tarmac as well. It's a lot easier to look around this bike too, so I do like that fact. You know, that's one of the reasons I like adventure bikes, is you can look around a lot more, and I can see over things. So the sports bike's a little bit harder to look around.